and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. One of his advocacy, people powered candidate fighting for real change in Illinois' 2nd District. None other than Mr. Eric French.
Thank you, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Mr. Eric. Book 101 review, and can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Oh, where do I start? Born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Uh, Grew up in and around politics and government my whole life, and have been inspired with all the craziness going on in this country right now to stop yelling at the TV and step up and make a difference.
Make a difference. I like that advocacy, Mr. Eric, and thank you so much for sharing with the world. Thank you. And today let's talk about running for office without selling out, a grassroots campaign story. So tell us the catalyzing moment. What is the
Wonderful.
specific incident or realization that made you say, I have to run and I have to do it differently?
Well, I grew up in Illinois, in Chicago in particular. I've lived on the South Side and in parts of the Second District most of my entire life. I've watched it go from a thriving community to a rundown, shuttered, in need of community. And I couldn't take it anymore. And I said things could be different, and I have the ability to. So I said it's time for me to step up and do what I have to do to make life better for not only myself, but the others in my community.
So, Mr. Eric, in the context of a campaign, what does selling out actually mean? Is it about money you take, the compromises you make, or the message you soften?
Well, when you speak of selling out, that's a rough one. I think it means many different things to many different people. But what I look at is when you're not taking care of the people and the reason why you went there, whatever it is that you're doing, you're not taking care of the people. It is the House of Representatives. So at the point you go and you're no longer representing the people or the district, and you're following other agendas, whether they're national or otherwise, all politics is local. If you're not taking care of home, then what are you doing?
Yes. What are you doing, people, to make you different? At the start, what were you two or the three absolute non negotiable principles? Which one of the hardest to maintain under pressure?
Well, always your integrity. I would never lose my integrity under any circumstance. I would never lose my love for and care of people. And most importantly, commitment. If you're going to do it, then do it, but don't go and half do it.
Commitment indeed. It's hard to do that, to commit. In a grassroots campaign, need people power before money power. How did you articulate your why in a way that inspired your first volunteers to show up and work for free?
Well, that's a good question. First off, you got to show up. I show up every day, everywhere. We don't discriminate from one end of the district to the other. I'm in a district that has 4,000 square miles, that has 450 farms, that is urban, suburban, affluent, rural, and poverty, affluent, suburban, and poverty stricken suburban. So we got a mixed bag. There's a lot of different things that different people need, but I have to be there and be that inspiration and show up and listen before I lead. That's what makes a grassroots campaign work. But people actually can believe in the person that they're voting for and know that it's worthwhile to do. not to be lumped in with everyone else and more of the same old stuff. It's about getting away from the status quo and getting to the status quo.
Yes, you need to listen first, people. Listen. The grassroots machine, strategy and tactics, Mr. Eric. The people powered engine. What do you volunteer structure look like? How do you organize, train, and empower people to become effective advocates, not just a door knockers?
Well, that's a good answer, a good question, I should say. You have to meet people where they are. It's not about what I want, it's how do they want to contribute. Everyone has their own niche. For some people, it may be just making phone calls. For other people, it may be being there passing out literature. For other people, it may be having coffees and teas and getting the word out to people they know and saying, hey, this is the right guy. You need to hear him. And other people have other talents. You have to let people show you their talents and put them to their best use.
Mr. Eric, how do you use social media and digital tools, not just a broadcasting, but for a genuine community building and mobilization without a big ad budget?
Oh, well, we are on all platforms of social media, everything from Facebook to Blue Sky and whatever comes in between. That having been said, it's very integral part of the modern campaign today. You cannot run a campaign without it. You have to be topical and you have to be present, just like in other aspects. It is the way to keep your word out there, keep your vision out there.
Let's talk about the fundraising dilemma, Mr. Eric. How do you fund a credible campaign while staying true to your principles? Did you reject certain kinds of donations, or how do you explain that to
Well,
voters?
first off, when you're not a part of the establishment, you're already at a deficit. I don't think most of the people from those donor bunches that are established or those packs are coming with me anyway right now. Right now, where we stand, we don't turn anybody down, but we vet with our integrity and our message. We're clearly not going to take money from people who don't have our principles and want us to do something outside of what we're here to do. But having said that, being a grassroots campaign, whether it's $5 or $5,000, we're open to take it. But in terms of PAC money, there aren't a lot of PACs chasing people like myself. So we haven't been faced with having to deal with it.
So, how do you balance staying on message for clarity with being a real, responsive human conversations? Did you ever have to say, I don't know?
I think we've all had to say, I don't know at one time or another in my life or
Hmm.
in our lives, I should say. But the key is not if you don't know, it's are you willing to listen and learn? Because there are a lot of people out here who ask questions that they already know the answers to. And sometimes you have to ask them and say, this is not in my space, but I'm willing to learn. Educate me.
Debating the establishment, Mr. Eric, when facing opponents with a big war chest and establishment backing, what is your most effective strategy for making their money a liability and your grassroots support an asset?
I think the truth and their records make all the weaponization that we need. At the end of the day, the people are smarter than a dollar, and we have to stay on message and on issue. You can't buy a race anymore, especially in these days of social media. We all have advantages that we didn't have before on getting our messages out. You have to stay on message and you have to call out people for what they've done and what they haven't done. I say it like this: if there had not been 30 plus years of disinvestment in my community and my constituents were being served by their current leadership, there'd be no reason for me to run. There are a lot of people who have gotten in my race because they're looking for a better job, not to make life better for the people. And that's just the fact.
Can you share a moment where you're pressured to compromise a core principle for a perceived strategic gain? How did you navigate that?
I don't think you do. Why would you compromise yourself? And the bottom line is, I'm there to represent the people. And if I ever get to the point where the people's wants compromise my principles, then it's a case where I may have to step aside in that particular case. But I don't think I can afford to lose my integrity over any fact. I'm a man of God and of church, and I can't let anybody talk me out of who my God is or what my principles are, no matter what.
Mr. Eric, what do you do when your own supporters or volunteers criticize a tough decision you made, accusing you of already selling out?
That's a good question. I've not been faced with it. I
Mm.
think the people who volunteered for my campaign and continue to have been very committed. And if anything, when they're touched with the with a tough decision, they remove themselves because this train isn't going to stop. It's going to roll with integrity and purpose.
The dirty trick scenario, Mr. Eric. Did you face a negative, personal, or misleading attacks? What is your playbook for responding in a way that reflected your campaign's values?
I've been fortunate enough in this race to have opponents who have not resulted to such. So I've not personally been faced with it. This is my first run for office. I will say that I am running against a group of fine legislators for the most part, but the problem is most of them have never done any of the things they're talking about. They've only voted on them. That having been said, I don't expect to have to deal with such. I am dealing with people in integrity for the most part, as I can see. And when we come to that bridge, if we should come to it, we'll cross it then.
Grassroots campaigns are marathons on volunteer energy. How did you keep your team's spirit alive through long hours, setbacks, and the sheer weight of the challenge?
Motivation comes from involvement. You have to keep them informed. You have to constantly meet with them. And as you look for them to check on you, you have to check on them. It's a checking in point for both sides, figuring out how they're doing, how their day is going, where they need help, what are we lacking, and how can we help out. That's the motivation. They got to know that they matter.
They are matter and part of the family for sure. Resilience, impact, and legacy. Measuring success differently, even if you didn't win. How did you define victory or impact for your campaign beyond just a vote count?
It's a good question. I can look to my opponents to see what they've learned and how they move differently in the future. And hopefully, I will have left a lasting impression that will leave me as a role model for them moving forward, win, lose, or draw.
Hmm. So, Mr. Arik, what are your short term and long term goals if you win the election?
Oh, where do I start? There's so much to be done. The key to revitalizing my district is economic development. It has been lacking for years. And with that, we'll be able to do things like lower our property taxes, expand our job base, give people jobs, give them a living wage, not a minimum wage, things that people can retire from and move forward on life and expand. Allow people to achieve the American dream and become homeowners. We need to take those disenfranchised and give them we involved and on the right path and rebuild our communities from beginning to end.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Eric, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Be encouraged and be involved.
Be encouraged and evolve. Well, thank you for that advice, Mr. Eric. And can you please recommend a book of books that influence you, Johnny?
The Audacity of Hope.
The Audacity of Hope.
Barack Obama left us with a good read.
Okay, thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Eric. And what was the most surprising or disheartening barrier you encountered from political system itself?
Uh, the betrayal of a lot of sitting officials, where they've gotten to the point where they don't care about the people and they don't take care of home, but they're constantly taking care of themselves. There's only one agenda, and that's the people's agenda.
And what change did your campaign create that is still visible in your community or the people who were involved, win or lose?
Well, I think there's room for everyone in the community. Let me say that. And some people have just managed to get lost over the years and jaded. But part of that is we as a community have to hold our leaders accountable, and our leaders need to be ready to be held accountable.
Accountable. Accountability is a big word, people. So
It is.
how do you channel the energy of a campaign, win or lose, into a lasting community power or organization so it does not just disappear after election day?
Well, you just took the words out of my mouth. You can't disappear. If you are a true member of the community, you remain in the community and champion your causes. I didn't just pop up in the community when I decided to run for office. I built over 2,000 units of affordable housing and some not affordable just in Illinois alone. I've always been serving in everything I've done as a land developer, as a management consultant. I've constantly brought back and brought change and made change in my community, and I'll continue to do so. I didn't start having to do it just by getting in the office. It's been my career, and I can continue to do that.
Mr. Eric, let's talk about the advice for the next generation. The one piece of advice if a first time candidate committed to a grassroots model asked you for a piece of hard won advice, what would it be?
Don't let others decide your future. Vote and stay involved, because a no vote and non involvement is giving up, and it's letting other people make your life decisions. Politics affects us everywhere we go. You can't afford not to be involved.
Balancing family and campaign. How do you manage the intense, all consuming nature of a campaign with personal relationships and responsibilities? What would you do differently, Mr. Eric?
I don't think I'd do anything differently at this point. Quite frankly, it was a family decision for me to run. We decided as a family that the time was right. I have three daughters. They're all grown. They're all homeowners. They're all off on their own and they're doing well. They don't require my day to day piece of advice anymore. They're thriving individuals. My wife and I are side by side most days on the campaign trail. This is the family business. We support each other in everything we do.
Mr. Eric, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in third season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101, our fourth season, science 101, sex 101 in its third season, and my baby podcast, mental health 101, law 101, Bible verses 101, Entrepreneurship 101 and Motivation 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, based on your experience, do you believe it's truly possible to change the system from within without being changed by it? What gives you hope, Mr. Eric?
I do absolutely think it's possible. It all comes down to what your own personal integrity is. One has to never lose themselves in whatever it is that they're doing.
Yes, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Eric. Thank you. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your race, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? You cut out on me.
Yes, can you please invite our listeners to support your race?
Absolutely. France4Congress.com. We are on all social media platforms. Please go there and donate. We're on Act Blue for donations also. Anything you can do, volunteer, donate. Did I mention donate? And if you forget to do that, just please donate.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Eric France because if you support him, for sure, more empowering advocacy will rise. So, Mr. Eric, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome, people. See you soon.